A reminder, the news doesn't end here. Here's what's coming up on WCNC Plus at 7 a.m.
7 people dead after a plane crash here in Statesville. And this morning, investigators will continue looking into what caused it. We're live with the latest.
As the investigation into the deadly crash continues, experts are taking a closer look at what could have caused this tragedy.
The quickness with which the pilots evidently made a decision to turn around and attempt to land again clearly indicates some kind of mechanical issue.
What the flight path reveals as the pilot tried to return to the airport before the crash.
North Carolina also mourning the loss of Jim Hunt, the state's longest-serving governor. How his commitment to public education and economic development made a profound impact on the state.
Today is set to be one of the busiest days at Charlotte Douglas.
How it's looking so far and what airport officials want you to know before leaving for the holidays. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC Plus.
All right, guys, we do have a lane blocked. This is Providence Church Lane from NC 16 Providence Road to Alexa Road. So again, just being mindful out there. We've had a couple lanes blocked due to some issues out there. So just be mindful as you're headed out the door.
All right, let's get right to it. Our extended forecast has the upper 60s for your Christmas Eve and your Christmas Day. Meanwhile, the day afterwards could be followed by a couple of days in the upper or the lower 70s. Meanwhile, we are expecting temperatures to really start to trail off, especially during this evening. All in all, a pretty decent weekend. Look at the 60s on Sunday. Something to look forward to.
Near 70 degrees.
That's a good-looking Sunday.
Might have to go get a tan.
That Yule log on WCNC Plus is all you're going to want. You're not going to want a real fire.
Exactly.
A Yule log.
See?
Right there you go. Speaking of WCNC Plus, join us coming up at 7 a.m.
Plane just crashed at Lakewood. A plane just crashed at Lakewood. It was flying from this way. It was way too low. huge explosion.
Mr. Greg Biffle, 55 years old, and his immediate family were on board the aircraft. Worst case scenario, man, unimaginable for the families.
Our hearts go out for this family. Was nothing more tragic way to walk into the holiday season.
I'm in shock, just surprised, and it's just heartbreaking for his family, especially this time of year.
As much as Greg Biffle's done, especially during the hurricanes, helping people out, to have this happen today, it's just heartbreaking, especially for most of the people in the racing community.
I've watched racing for a long time, NASCAR, and I've known, I followed Greg. The memorial being started here, I think they're going to run out of room.
Streaming live with us this morning here on WCNC Plus at 7 a.m. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
This morning we're expecting to hear from the NTSB as the investigation into that deadly plane crash in Idaho County continues. We know that 7 people were killed in the devastating incident, including NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, his wife, and their 2 kids.
3 others also died in that crash. NASCAR veteran Craig Wadsworth, Dennis Dutton, and his son Jack. The racing world now mourning what they are saying is an insurmountable loss. The families of the victims releasing a statement shortly after the crash. Here's a look at some of what they had to say. It says, "We are devastated by the loss of our loved ones." Goes on to say Greg and Christina were devoted parents whose lives centered around their young son Ryder and Greg's daughter Emma. Emma was a wonderful human being with a kind soul. Ryder, active and curious and joyful child. And also noted the other people on board saying, quote, Dennis Dutton and his son Jack were deeply loved as well, and their loss is felt by all who knew them. Craig Wadsworth, beloved by many in the NASCAR community and will be missed by those who knew him. Each of them meant everything to us, and their absence leaves an immeasurable void in our lives. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning at the airport there in Statesville. Destiny, do we know exactly where the investigators are going to be focusing their attention this morning?
Yeah, there's been a lot of mention just of the flight path regarding this incident, and there's still a lot of questions. We know investigators are expected to provide an update at some point today, just as they continue to figure out exactly what caused the plane to crash just moments after takeoff. Now, the FAA and the NTSB are leading this investigation, focusing on, again, the flight path, the Cessna plane itself, and what went wrong in those critical seconds in the air. FAA records show Dennis Dutton, one of the victims, was licensed to fly this type of aircraft. However, records also show the plane required a second-in-command on board at the time of the flight. The crash happened just after 10:15 yesterday morning, and people who live near the airport tell us they didn't hear an impact, only seeing smoke moments later.
And all we saw was smoke from the south side of the airport, and that was it. Then we started seeing all the vehicles come up here, and none was going. We thought it was a house.
Now, this morning, we aren't super close to the scene, but the airport is within view and it is closed. It's been closed since yesterday when this investigation started. And there are nearby roads that are blocked off because of debris. So that cleanup is likely going to continue today. And again, the NTSB expected to provide updates today with a briefing. We're still waiting to hear about the time for that briefing. I'll be sure to pass that along once we learn it. Live in Statesville, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
And we know that airport is closed until further notice. All right, Destiny, thank you for that. This morning, we're also hearing from witnesses of the deadly crash. Take a look at this video. This is from a Ring camera at a nearby house on East Aviation. And you can actually see the plane hit the ground and just erupt into flames, sending that thick black smoke into the air. Another angle is going to show the wreckage from a nearby golf course. A witness says he saw the plane hit a row of trees and slam onto the runway. All those in the area calling it a heartbreaking loss.
A big charity person around here for everybody. He donated a lot. When Asheville got hit last year, he was up there almost every day taking supplies. So he was a very important person in our community.
And as we mentioned, the officials are back on the ground this morning there in Statesville as the investigation continues.
This morning, we're also hearing from Greg Biffle's fans and colleagues. Over the years, he touched so many lives at the track, but also in our community. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley shares how folks are remembering him.
A somber day across the NASCAR community following the plane crash that claimed the lives of NASCAR driver Greg Biffle, his family, and 3 others.
Especially being a whole family. That's especially this time of year. Knowing a whole family's gone and nothing will bring them back.
Randy Vaughn has been racing for 50 years and followed Greg Biffle's career since the beginning.
Greg Biffle is back to the lead.
He always seemed to be smiling anytime he was doing interviews and real joyful.
Look at the smile on Greg Biffle's face.
What stands out to NASCAR fans we spoke to is the aid Biffle offered to Hurricane Helene victims last year, using his own helicopter to deliver supplies during a crisis.
As much as Greg Biffle's done, especially during the hurricanes, helping people out, to have this happen today, it's just heartbreaking, especially for most of the people in the racing community.
NASCAR released a statement saying a winner on and off the racetrack, Greg Biffle, leaves a lasting impression on all of us.
He claimed the 1998 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year and followed that up with a stellar 1999 season.
NASCAR sharing this video on X about some of Biffle's accomplishments. Fans said they will miss Biffle's integrity and love for the sport.
I've never met Greg Biffle, but I feel like I know him. I feel like he's family. I've been watching NASCAR since I was 3 feet tall. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
North Carolina Governor Josh Stein among the many lawmakers issuing a statement on the crash. The governor saying in part, Greg Biffle lived a life of courage and compassion and stepped up for Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene, adding that his heart goes out to all of those who lost a loved one in this tragic crash. North Carolina Congressman Tim Moore saying he's devastated, adding that Greg was a hero on and off the track, stepping up when Western North Carolina needed help after Hurricane Helene. And North Carolina Senator Ted Budd also releasing these words, Greg was an NC hero, loved by many, who flew hundreds of rescue and supply missions throughout Western North Carolina after Hurricane Helene. Please keep his loved ones in your prayers. And as we mentioned, we've been following this story from the very beginning, both on air and right here on our streaming platform, WCNC Plus. Of course, we'll keep you up to date with all the breaking news stories.
Another breaking news story we're following this morning is the death of a former North Carolina governor. Democrat Jim Hunt was North Carolina's longest serving governor, 4 terms in all. His family sharing the news yesterday. Senator Tom Tillis among the many reacting to the news, calling Hunt one of the most consequential public service in North Carolina's history. Also adding that his commitment to public education and economic development made a profound impact on our state that continues to this day. Later this morning, Michael Bitzer, a political science professor from Catawba College, will join us right here on WCNC Plus to help us remember his life and legacy. You can catch that coming up at 8:30, again, right here on WCNC Plus. All right, Christine, by with a look at your weather impact forecast, and those impacts were significant earlier this morning.
Luckily, we're done with it, but raise your hand if you're woken up by the passing storms. We had wind gusts that I think they're at least up to 60 miles per hour from place to place. Here is ring camera footage that came from Lexi that lived in Harrisburg, and this was during the 5 o'clock hour. Yeah, winds were really rocking and rolling, and we've even seen some signs of rotation, really quick moving clouds, got that storm system out of here, and it's still very active in parts of the Carolina, just not our viewing area, because now we're giving way to blue skies. It's the way most of the day is going to look. However, those branches are going to be rocking and rolling. But when those winds move through, when that storm system rolled through, it was a severe thunderstorm warning, by the way, in Cabarrus County and parts of Mecklenburg County. Well, it actually knocked our camera downward, and it was unresponsive for a little bit. So someone's going to have to go up there and fix it. Not me, because I'm kind of afraid of heights, but our Charlotte Motor Speedway camera looking down. So yeah, it's a solid roof if you're ever wondering. Our severe thunderstorm warnings, though, are starting to improve a little bit. We're still looking at some tornado tags over here around Raleigh, and there's no confirmation that we had a tornado, but we were very close, and not saying that there wasn't as well, but then those gusts were at least getting up to around that 50 to 60 mile per hour range. Now we're going to be dealing with clearing, and there's still a chance for a few flurries right here up in the high country. Keep that in mind. A lot of downed tree reports in Cabarrus County and also parts of Stanley County as well. So that's another note. You might be cleaning up some storm damage. Here's a look at what was happening right around 4:38 at this point. This is just a wall of rain, but looking off towards the east, we are actually looking at some broad rotation. So it was in there that could have been a funnel cloud, but it's rain wrap, so you can't see it. That's why especially some tornadic activity at night is the most dangerous. Again, not saying that that was a tornado, but hey, as close as you can come, especially the week before Christmas. Cold front number 1 and cold front number 2 will pass throughout today. What that's going to do is that's going to filter in some even colder air by the end of the day. 54 degrees the temperature right now in Charlotte, 61 in Wadesboro, but you have the 40s and the 30s that are behind the system. We already hit a high for the day, by the way, 63 degrees. Expect a cool down to either side of 50, back to the mid to the upper 50s, hitting our low right around the upper 30s to conclude the day. All right, we're going to put our weather bookmark right here, all of your extended forecasts, planning out your weekend, also the Christmas holiday shortly. But first, let's get over to Walker Lawson. What a morning, my man.
Yeah, it's been a busy morning. We have another accident now that has actually occurred. So this is on I-77 if you're headed northbound. Now the camera has been shifted to look southbound. So behind me where you see all these lights, these are people that are coming to the north, of course, trying to get onto I-485. So this accident happening on that ramp here, closing just the left lane of the ramp getting onto I-485. Again, we're moving at around 12 miles an hour for people that are sitting in this area. So again, just give yourself a little bit of extra time out there. I know a lot of people are probably headed in for that last shift before they hopefully are going on winter break in the next week. So again, just being patient as you're headed out there. Now, Matthews to Charlotte, 22 minutes. We're going 35 miles per hour. Headed from Salisbury to Charlotte, it'll take you 47 minutes going 60 miles an hour. For those from Waxhaw headed into the city, 39 minutes moving at 33 miles per hour.
A major name change at one of Washington, D.C.'s and our nation's most iconic cultural institutions. And this morning is sparking some big backlash. We'll explain why coming up next, right here on WCNC. 7:14 right now. The board of the Kennedy Center voted to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center Thursday, a move that is facing backlash from at least one member of the board. many of the Kennedy family and Democratic lawmakers who say the change can't really happen without an act of Congress. NBC's Alice Barr has reactions from Washington.
The Trump Kennedy Center, that's the name now listed on the website for the iconic Performing Arts Center in the nation's capital.
I was honored by it.
After the White House says the board that President Trump handpicked voted unanimously to rename the memorial.
The board is a very distinguished board.
The president ousted most of the previous board members and the new ones installed him as chairman after he criticized the Kennedy Center's programming as too liberal, while also launching $250 million worth of congressionally authorized renovations.
We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way.
Democrats, though, say changing the name established by Congress would need congressional action. Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, an ex officio board member, says the name-changing vote was not unanimous and that she tried to object.
I was muted. And as I continued to try to unmute to ask questions and voice my opposition to this, I received a note saying that I would not be unmuted.
A series of Kennedy family members voicing their opposition, including JFK's grandson, who's running for Congress in New York, and called the move branding over policy.
It does nothing for families choosing between prescription drugs and paying their rent.
One of JFK's grandnephews, former Democratic Congressman Joe Kennedy, writing, quote, "The Kennedy Center is a living memorial to a fallen president and named for President Kennedy by federal law. It can no sooner be renamed than can someone rename the Lincoln Memorial." The top Democrat in the House was adamant the Trump-appointed board does not have the power to unilaterally change the Kennedy Center's name, calling it a distraction, while the Senate's top Republican said members would look into whether the move would require a change to the law. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
A White House official says President Trump signed the National Defense Authorization Act into law Thursday. That legislation approves nearly $900 billion for military programs and includes a 4% pay raise for service members. It also pushes the Pentagon to release more information about military strikes on suspected drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean. The bill would cut Secretary Pete Hegseth's travel budget by 25% until unedited videos of those strikes are provided to Congress. And today, we're learning about another operation carried out this week. The U.S. military conducted strikes against 2 alleged drug trafficking boats in the eastern Pacific Ocean on Thursday, killing 5 people. The Southern Command says it happened in international waters, and the 2 boats were operated by designated terrorist organizations. They marked the 3rd strike this week. At least 104 people have been killed in U.S. strikes on alleged drug boats. December 19th, 1843, a timeless holiday story was first published and quickly captured the hearts of readers everywhere. Stay with us to see how its message of generosity is still shaping the season.
And as we go to break, a reminder right here on WCNC Plus, we're helping you get in the Christmas spirit. Every day at 9:30, we're streaming Christmas parades around the Piedmont. And that's not all. For the rest of the year, you can catch all our holiday events anytime right here. We're also adding Santa Tracker on the 24th, right in time for his big journey down south, as well as that Yule log right here at WCNC Plus.
Good morning, good morning. So let's resume. As I mentioned, we put our weather bookmark right here, and we are already done with our high temperature. So it's glad that we got that over with, right? I know you're probably stressing, oh man, got to get a hard temperature ready a little bit later on. Well, temperatures in the upper 50s for the afternoon. So we're still going to see a little bit of a warm up because of that sunshine, but our absolute lows for the day are actually going to be hit right around midnight. So just be advised that is going to be the case and scenario there, hitting a low likely about 37 to 38 degrees really at 11:59. So kind of a backwards day as far as our highs and lows are concerned. Meanwhile, it's going to be a windy day. That's really the word of the day. A wind advisory has already started, and that goes until the middle of the evening. The high wind warning lasts a little bit longer until about 10 o'clock for Watauga and Ashe County. Wind gusts could be as high as 60 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the surrounding areas, say around the Charlotte area, mainly seeing gusts about 25 to 30. That still could be problematic for some Christmas decorations, so be advised. Maybe you want to avoid inflating the inflatables until the winds die down later on in the evening, so not as early as 5, 6 o'clock. And then up in the mountains, really gusts anywhere from about 40 to 60 miles per hour would be a possibility through today, through the afternoon, heading into the evening, but a much lighter wind heading into the early morning hours. But Catonsville Lights, tonight is a much better night to do it than, say, yesterday. Yesterday, widespread rain. And our temperatures falling down to about 40 degrees by 10 o'clock. As I mentioned, we're ending up in the upper 30s with a calming wind by your Saturday morning. And that's also going to be a freezing start to the day. Winds, I don't think are going to get light enough for any frost, but we have the upper 50s and then even warmer, lower to the mid 60s. And that has been my pick of the week since Monday. And then as we go on to next week, it looks like the best day might be the day after Christmas. I'll get to that. Panthers forecast looking good as well. Tailgaters can rejoice with temperatures in the 50s, 60 degrees right around kickoff, lower to the mid 60s when we're hopefully claiming a Panthers W. The coolest day going forward is going to be Monday. That's another freezing start. Highs only in the lower 50s, and then boom, look at that, even challenging 70 degrees on Christmas Eve, upper 60s on Thursday, and the first day of Kwanzaa, the next day on the 26th, highs in the lower 70s. So I'm super excited about it. So yeah, no white Christmas. Negative chances of white Christmas this year. All right, let's get right over to Walker Lawson to see what's going on for our morning commute.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. We are seeing some traffic headaches out there this morning. Taking a live look at I-77 north. This is actually the 485 ramp. I-77 is right behind me where you can see those headlights. People are trying to get through that area. Of course, one lane is closed right now. So the left lane is closed getting onto 485. This is the ramp. So just to give you an example of how long it's going to take, we're moving at 12 miles an hour, but this stretches about 2.5 miles is how long the backup is. So just be prepared. There are going to be some delays out there if you're trying to get on 485.
Parker, thanks.
Bah humbug. 182 years ago today, the holiday classic A Christmas Carol was published by Charles Dickens.
The novel was an instant hit, capturing readers with its tale of Ebenezer Scrooge's transformation. Its themes of generosity, compassion, and holiday spirit quickly made it a seasonal favorite. Over the years, the story's been adapted countless times for stage, film, TV. It remains one of the most enduring holiday classics, still inspiring audiences nearly 2 centuries later. And every December, its message of kindness continues to resonate around the world. I will say Christmas Carol is one of my favorites. I feel like I've not seen a recent redo of it that's
true.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in years.
It's like, Disney did a version. I think the Muppets did a version. I think, of course, they've done
so many versions.
And I think it's such a great thing, but I haven't seen a new version in a long time.
No.
Yeah.
We just watched the Mickey Mouse version. With
See?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so that they're... Every version you can think of has been done. Yeah, I feel like there was like a 10, 15-year span that every year like a new one was coming out.
I think you're right.
Sadly, I haven't watched any Christmas movies this year, so.
You're not a Scrooge, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm a huge Christmas person, but I just haven't had the time.
He's a busy man.
This
Yes,
weekend.
so.
That's right.
That's too nice.
You
for
gotta
this
make
weekend.
the time, Walker.
I know. I do need to sit down and watch
Listen,
them.
do you have your Christmas decorations up yet?
I mean, for the most part, yes.
I would hope so. Mine went up like.
Do not take anything from her.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah, right,
so
I know.
I was going to say mine were up before Thanksgiving.
It's time for us to take a
Something
break
about
right now.
throwing stones in glass houses, I believe.
Stop it.
Live pictures right now. Take a look at this. Folks, serious situation there. Walker, what are we looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at left lanes closed on the I-485 ramp. This is coming off of I-77 at mile marker 1.
All right, just one of the things you're going to face as you head out the door. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Maybe some of you slept through, but what a crazy start to the day. We even had a severe thunderstorm warning, 2 of them. One even had a tornado tag, so some of us might be cleaning up some debris. Fallen trees were reported in Stanley and Cabarrus County, and we already hit our high for the day. We hit a high right around 63. Well, our high during the afternoon is going to be in the upper 50s for temperatures take a tumble. Today is going to be a windy day, wind gusts on and off up to 30 miles per hour, so keep that in mind. Lows tonight, it's another freezing one, mid-20s for the mountains, right around 30 degrees for the Charlotte area. Perfectly clear, though, and our Charlotte forecast staying sunny for the weekend. Look at that. Temperatures actually getting into the lower to the mid-60s for the first day of winter on Sunday. Near 70, though, for Christmas Eve. All right, busy morning commute with Walker Lawson. Take it away.
Yeah, that's right. I was actually just trying to count how many cars we actually have on the side of the road here from this accident. It looks like we have 4 vehicles that could have potentially been involved in this accident. They're sitting there that are not law enforcement or DOT vehicles, but this is your I-485 exit ramp as you're coming off of I-77 northbound. The camera is facing south, so you'll see those headlights behind me just so you can see it on a map, maybe to get a little bit better if you're more of a visual map learner. As you can see here, it'll take you a couple minutes to get to that area.
Live pictures right now. This is up in Mooresville, where this morning there is a memorial growing for NASCAR legend Greg Biffle and his family. Almost 24 hours now after news that their plane crashed shortly after takeoff nearby in Statesville.
That plane was actually trying to make a return to the airport there where something went wrong, and we know now 7 people died as a result of that crash. Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 7:30 on this Friday morning. We're going to get a check of your forecast now with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. There was a few crazy moments this morning, but things are looking much better now in the weather department, Chris.
Yeah, one of the wildest starts to a nearly late December day. We're less than 6 days or almost 6 days away from Christmas. And then, yeah, we had a line of thunderstorms that turned strong, even severe. And there's several trees that have been reported down. I think we will see more damage reports start to filter in over the next couple of hours. But it's a gorgeous start. We had complete overcast skies. Now we're going to see those beautiful Carolina blues. But notice that camera. It was jumping up and down a little bit. That's really the name of the game today. It's going to be breezy. And I'm showing you this not because I wanted to show you what the roof looks like at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Well, the camera is down because those winds took it down. So, and I can't adjust it anymore. So it is still working. So this isn't frozen. It's still working. It's just it's pointing in the wrong direction. So we're not going to be showing the sky cam for a little bit over in Concord. We have one lingering severe thunderstorm warning that is right around Raleigh and Rocky Mount. And then this is going to be fading out. But this has been an interesting line because at one point we had a severe thunderstorm warning that had a tornado tag, and it was quickly in and out. It was about a 2 to 3 hour period that we had those storms roll through. Now in the near term, we will see a slight chance for a little bit of a wintry mix, even some snow flurries here in the mountains. It's really now until about 10 o'clock that you're going to be seeing that potential. So I've been showing you this graphic through the morning that I made because it really tells the tale. We already hit our high temperature for the day. Thank goodness, right? 63 degrees. That was at 4:30. Now, because behind that cold front, we're cooling things down. But the cool down isn't immediate. Instead, we are going to warm up because of the sunshine back to the upper 50s, but then by the evening, temperatures are going to tank. So our low for the day actually is hit around midnight. So our high hit at 4:30, our lows hit right before we go into your Saturday. Also, we have wind alerts that go on until the evening. 7 o'clock for that wind advisory. Watauga and Ashe County could see gusts as high as, that's right, 60 miles per hour when all is said and done. So for the weekend, for our long-range forecast, things are trending in a great direction. My pick of the weekend, pick of the week since Monday has been this coming Sunday, which oddly is also the first day of winter. That officially starts the winter solstice at 10:03 a.m. There's another dry front that's going to push us back down to freezing in the lower 50s on Monday. Near 70 for Christmas Eve, mid to the upper 60s for Christmas Day, and the day afterwards, the 26th, we're talking about the lower 70s. So what a nice little surge. 3 years ago, we had the opposite where we actually had single-digit lows. So I like this version better. How's the version of the traffic looking, though, Walker?
To catch a break from the weather after early this morning, but it seems like we are piling up on the traffic delays this morning. Taking another look at this camera, I think it really helps to capture for drivers. This is I-77 North is right over here on this far end. This is the ramp getting onto I-485. You can see the headlights as far as we can go. They're zooming in on the accident, so we're gonna go ahead and jump to another shot here. So this is look at our road conditions right now. Again, as I mentioned, this is a vehicle crash that has caused the left ramp lane to be closed. Now we're moving at right about 12 miles an hour, and the backups were 3.5 miles. It looks like they've gone even further since I've last checked. We also have several other accidents out there. We have one on Sunset Road. This is northbound, a crash at I-77, exits 16A and 16B. We also have another accident. This is on Old Statesville Road and Eastville Road. You can see this is causing some delays out there for you. So just be mindful as you head out the door to add some extra time to that drive.
Walker, thanks. This morning, we are expecting to hear from the NTSB as the investigation into the deadly plane crash in Iredell County continues. Again, we know that crash killing all 7 people on board, including NASCAR legend Greg Biffle and his family. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning at the site of that crash. Destiny.
Yeah, we're expecting to hear an update from investigators this afternoon about what led up to this crash. Obviously, a lot of questions surrounding this, and we know that this happened just moments after it took off. Now, we know that the FAA and the NTSB are leading this investigation. They're focusing on the flight path, the Cessna plane itself, and what went wrong in those critical seconds in the air. FAA records show Dennis Dutton, one of the victims, was licensed to fly this type of aircraft. However, records also show the plane required a second-in-command on board at the time of the flight. Former NTSB senior air safety investigator Greg Feith says the plane's flight path is likely what's raising early questions for investigators.
In the flight path, it looks like they're trying to fly a normalized pattern to get back to the runway that they took off on, rather than just immediately make a better than a 180-degree turn. It's more like around a 200-degree turn, and land opposite direction. Land slightly downwind if you need to, but get the airplane on the ground under control, and that's the key. The question for the investigators will be, did the pilots lose control of the aircraft?
And we know this morning the airport, Statesville Regional Airport, is closed. They are still cleaning up debris, and there are roads closed close to where the crash happened that are blocked off because of debris still on the ground. And we know that NTSB is planning to do a briefing sometime this afternoon. We know it's happening in the afternoon today, and so we'll bring you that latest information from the investigation once we get it. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Statesville.
Destiny, what have we learned? What do we know about the plane itself?
Yeah, so again, this is a Cessna. It's a Cessna C550 jet. It's a small business jet. We know that it was built in 1981, so it's 44 years old. Feith is telling us, though, that the plane itself, the age of the plane is not really what investigators will be focusing on. It's going to be the maintenance history. Did it have any mechanical issues? Were there any problems to the plane's maintenance leading up to this crash? So not only looking at the flight path, but also inspecting the plane itself and what's left behind of it when trying to investigate.
All right, Destiny Richards live in Statesville this morning. Destiny, thank you for that report.
Well, just hours after the news broke, we sat down with an aviation expert going over the plane's flight path.
Now, he helped to explain what could have happened to cause the tragedy. Take a look at this now. As you can see from the flight path there, the pilot took off, then tried to return to the airport. But that plane, of course, crashed during a landing attempt. Aviation attorney Pablo Rojas told us that several things could have gone wrong.
The flight path that we know so far, the quickness with which the pilots evidently made a decision to turn around and attempt to land again clearly indicates some kind of mechanical issue. Very commonly, when pilots detect an issue with an engine, they detect it right away after takeoff. Takeoff and landing are the two most dangerous parts of any flight. And, any kind of mechanical issue could prompt a pilot to say, wait a minute, we gotta get back to land. This is not safe to continue this flight. But very, very commonly, it's an engine.
This morning, friends and fans are remembering Greg Biffle's legacy both on and off the track. He was named one of the 75 greatest drivers with a career across 3 decades and wins across every level. His legacy has been documented by his stats, and his good work continued in his retirement from NASCAR, as highlighted by the NASCAR Hall of Fame Executive Director Winston Kelley.
I don't think devastating is a strong enough word, but I don't have enough command of the English language to come up with what it is. It's devastating, heartbreaking. I think we're all numb. The stats you can read about. You're a nominee into the NASCAR Hall of Fame and one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers. You are among the elite athletes, but he and Christina were elite people. It even amplifies the grief, I think, because there's so much that they have given and left to give. And, on earth, we don't understand why these things happen. And, maybe in an afterlife we will, but it's just devastating. But we've got to remember what they have done, not what they have done in a sport or business, but what they have done for people. And these folks certainly exemplify that.
Greg Biffle was on the 2026 Hall of Fame ballot. Kelly tells us it's not if, but a matter of when he will be inducted. He also added that NASCAR is a family and its members are showing up in droves on social media. We've seen an outpouring of tributes from those who raced against him or admired his career. Jeff Gordon saying, "I had such tremendous respect for Greg as a driver," and noted his relief efforts during Hurricane Helene. Richard Petty and Kyle Busch sharing photos with Greg Biffle, and dozens of other notes posted from NASCAR drivers as they mourn the loss of one of their own.
Not only was Biffle a NASCAR star, he was a devoted father and a hero far from the racetrack.
Today we remember him, a man whose impact stretched from racing to rescue and whose legacy lives on through the lives he saved. Here's Megan Maleris.
A NASCAR driver beloved by fans. A devoted father who fiercely loved his family. A pilot who moved mountains, putting others in the driver's seat. Greg Biffle, a star who wore humility on his sleeve. Biffle sat down with me in August, reflecting on the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. He was one of the first helicopter civilian pilots in the sky, racing to the rescue in western North Carolina.
Then my wife came up and said, "Are you going to go?" is all she said. And I just felt like if I don't go, who's going to?
For 2 weeks straight, he and a team of civilian pilots he assembled pulled people from homes and dropped critical supplies.
On the track, a delay in the pit can cost you the race, right? But in the air, a delay getting up can cost a life. That's a lot of pressure.
The hardest thing was when I went home at night and landed in the dark, because we just couldn't fly anymore, was my mind wouldn't shut off. I'm sitting there at my counter looking through my phone, just overwhelmed. Like, what am I gonna do next?
He was always one lap ahead, bringing holiday joy to families hurting and at the ready for the next call of duty. In October, we talked again as he offered help to hurricane-ravaged Jamaica.
I feel even more helpless now, being so far away from the disaster, to just not knowing what they need.
But Biffle did know heart matters more than medals. A hero isn't who you are, but what you do when no one else is watching. Megan Maleris, WCNC Charlotte.
And folks, we've been following the story from the very beginning when it first broke yesterday, and we'll continue to. Stay with us here on WCNC Plus for the very latest.
Today, President Trump will visit North Carolina. Republican U.S. Senate candidate Michael Whatley posted saying the president is coming to Rocky Mount today. And his post on X, he wrote, "Let's give him the North Carolina welcome he deserves." Whatley, the former National Committee chairman, got the president's endorsement this summer. Republican Michelle Morrow is now running for U.S. Senate, launching a political comeback after last year's unsuccessful run to lead North Carolina's public schools. She filed paperwork Thursday for that seat being vacated by Senator Thom Tillis. In her announcement, Morrow criticized Democrat Roy Cooper, who is also in the race, with Cooper pushing back, saying she is an ultra-right-wing candidate who is wrong for North Carolina. She enters a crowded Republican primary that includes former RNC chairman Michael Whatley. As we said, he has the president's endorsement.
As the holiday celebrations ramp up, experts say there is one thing you should not overlook: your health. So what simple choices can help you feel your best? That's coming up next. As we finish up that holiday shopping, many people may be reaching for gift cards for their loved ones' favorite places.
But it's important to watch out for scams. WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg shares some tips so you're not left asking, where's the money?
One scam popping up this year is known as gift card draining. This is where scammers get access to gift card information in stores with handheld scanners. When the card is activated, they can either clone or create counterfeit cards, leaving you with no balance.
When they have those numbers, they're essentially going to call the 1-800 number located on the back of the card to see when the funds have been activated or if they have been activated. Once they realize funds have been put on that card, they're either going to go ahead and spend them themselves.
Juliana O'Rourke with the BBB says check the barcode by running your finger over the back. Be sure to look for whether a sticker is covering the real barcode. You can also consider buying online, but still be cautious.
And you also need to be cautious that you're on the actual legitimate site for whatever business you're looking to purchase the gift card from and not, some type of a knockoff or a lookalike website.
That was Megan Bragg reporting. Experts also suggest trying to use the gift card sooner rather than later and check the balance once you receive it.
It's that time of the year that we tend to overindulge ourselves. Don't let the holiday season, though, derail your heart health. From cocktails, cakes, cookies, candy, you name it, it's all out there trying to tempt you. And we all tend to overdo it a bit on the holidays for sure. Experts recommend watching your intake by prioritizing balanced meals and limiting alcohol and sugary drinks.
Drink a glass of water in between each, sugary beverage or alcoholic beverage so that it can help us to slow down, drink less, and also that water that we're drinking, that can also help to fill our stomach too.
Yeah, so you can just indulge with water as well. Experts say it's also important to continue exercising. Even during the busy holiday season, it can be as simple as going for a walk after a meal, which honestly usually makes us feel better because at a time like this, any little bit of movement counts.
Everything in moderation, right?
Right.
Well, listen to this. TikTok has reached a deal to form a new U.S.-based joint venture for the popular video app. According to a memo obtained by NBC News, the American version of TikTok would be owned by a group of majority U.S. investors. The memo from the app's CEO also says a new 7-member majority American board would oversee the U.S. arm of the app. With this agreement in place, it appears the long legal battle over TikTok's future in the U.S. may be nearing its end. And although TikTok may be here to stay, experts say the holidays are a great time to slow down and actually enjoy the people around us instead of our screens. One easy way to unplug is by using the Do Not Disturb or Focus settings on your phone to quiet those non-stop notifications that we all get. You can even set limits on apps you tend to scroll through a little too long. Getting outside helps as well. As we said, a walk in the cold or a little time in nature can be a great reset. And if you really want to disconnect, try picking up a good book. Some people even lock their devices away for a few hours just to make sure they stay present.
7:49 right now on WCNC Plus. Be warned, you might see some of the most god-awful holiday sweaters making their big appearance today. So prepare yourself. We'll tell you why.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks as always for joining us on WCNC Plus. Well, this morning, our actual low so far is 53 degrees. Tomorrow, it's dropping down to 30, so a big difference there. And our high temperatures so far, yes, these are our high temperatures of the day. 63 in Charlotte. We're not going to get back to that. We will see the upper 50s, kind of similar range to what we had yesterday. 65 was your low around Wadesboro, 59 for you in Hickory. Glad that's already done, right? Well, temperatures will be back to the upper 50s, right around the freezing point. Can't even see it because it goes down my temperature range down here. So another freezing morning. Then tomorrow we should have the mid to borderline the upper 50s with sunshine. Pretty good looking day. And where lows go, you could expect a freezing start, been slightly above that for Sunday, and then a couple of freezing mornings on Monday and Tuesday before we see that big eventual warm up. And rain yesterday, we saw just over a ½ inch of rain. Just keep in mind that now brings us to the 20th driest year on record. All right, we're done with weather. Let's get over to Walker. A lot going on in the traffic world.
Yeah, Chris, we are seeing a lot of delays out there this morning. I want to go ahead and show you guys this picture that we went ahead and grabbed because last traffic update, they were moving the camera a little bit, so you couldn't really see the impact of traffic. This is an image from about 3 minutes ago. This is I-77 North, so there's an accident on the ramp going on to I-485 that's causing some delays out there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map so you can see this is where the accident has happened, right where this ramp is, causing delays. Now the delays are stretching quite long. We have about a 4.5 mile delay. So this is how long traffic stretches down for, moving around 11 miles an hour on the North Carolina side of I-77, moving around 14 miles an hour on the South Carolina side of I-77. We also have another accident. This is on Sunset Road northbound. The crash is at the I-77 exits at 16A and 16B. Again, we'll continue to monitor traffic through the morning as we have a couple more accidents in the area.
Walker thinks Ginger the elf is back this morning, but she is not in the newsroom. Ginger is taking a trip to the North Pole to check in on Santa's workshop. Of course, she joins us every morning on WCNC Charlotte and here on WCNC Plus to spread holiday cheer and mischief. Check a look at what some of her friends have been up to, and thanks to all of you who've sent us pictures of your elves. If you still like to do it, it's not too late. Text us 704-329-3600 so we can see what your elves are up to this holiday season. Today is National Ugly Christmas Sweater Day. It's a tradition that's grown into a full-on international celebration. It started back in 2011, and every year people try to out-ugly last year's sweaters with more lights, more colors, more bells, decorations, glitter. They just do all the things.
Some sweaters are so bright, some would say so hideous, that they give Rudolph a run for his money. You'll see everything from elves and snowmen, donkeys, because nothing says Christmas like donkeys. Also, kittens, you name it, all bedazzled. And if you want to win an ugly sweater competition this year, good idea to go big with clashing colors, wild decorations, and maybe even a few flashing lights. I appreciate the actual real vintage ones, like from the 90s. You know,
that
they're
like
really,
they were born ugly.
Oh goodness, you can't help.
They were born ugly.
They were. And why at one point, somebody thought it was really nice.
Yes, they didn't know it.
That's the thing. Back in the day.
I know.
At one point, somebody was just like, "This is gorgeous."
This is the sweater.
I know,
now we're like,
now it's become sort of a cottage industry of where they try to make them ugly. It's not the same.
No, it's not.
It's not the same.
I usually just wear a Christmas sweater, not really an ugly one, per se. I wore like a Panthers one last week.
You leave it up to other people to decide.
Yeah, they can interpret. I also wore a Frozen one as well that lit up.
Why not?
oh, that's fun. See?
Alrighty
We need to see these. Where are these right now?
We'll circle back.
All right, what are we looking at here? What is this?
This is I-77 northbound. This is the ramp going onto I-485. Again, this accident causing some delays out there, so just make sure you have some extra time on the roadways.
Good morning, everyone. Well, our high temperatures today have already been set. We did that early morning, and our temperatures are going to reach the upper 50s for the afternoon, starting off around freezing for your Saturday. Look where temperatures go, down to 30 degrees, kicking off sunrise tomorrow, 25 for you in Boone, and then we'll be back above that freezing mark for your Sunday before we visit the freezing point, and then getting well above normal after that. Our weather ranks so far, we moved down the list because we did pick up some rain yesterday, just over a half inch. This is now the 20th driest year on record. Here's our weekend forecast. We have 58 degrees for tomorrow, lower to the mid 60s for your Sunday, so not a bad looking forecast there. Just note, today is an inflatable alert, gusts up to 30 miles per hour with that wet soil. Not great for those inflatable Santas, Rudolphs, and snowmen. All right, Walker, what's going on?
Well, guys, we're continuing to monitor this accident on I-77 North. It's specifically on the ramp getting onto 485. As you can see, some delays out there right now. So again, causing some backups, stretching about 4.5 miles almost. We're moving around 11 miles an hour on I-77 North in North Carolina, moving around 14 miles an hour on I-77 North in South Carolina. So that's how long the backups are. Again, monitoring other accidents in the area.
Plane just crashed at Lakewood. A plane just crashed at Lakewood. It was flying from this way. It was way too low. Huge explosion.
Mr. Greg Biffle, 55 years old, and his immediate family were on board the aircraft. Worst case scenario, I mean, unimaginable for the families.
Our hearts go out for this family. There's nothing more tragic way to walk into the holiday season.
I'm in shock, just surprised, and it's just heartbreaking for his family, especially this time of year.
As much as Greg Biffle's done, especially during the hurricanes, helping people out, to have this happen today, it's just heartbreaking, especially for most of the people in the racing community.
I've watched racing for a long time, you know, NASCAR, and I've known, I followed Greg. The memorial being started here, I think they're going to run out of room.
A story that's really capturing the attention, the hearts of people all across the Carolinas this morning. Thanks for streaming with us here at 8 a.m. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington.
Today we are expecting to hear from the NTSB as the investigation into the deadly plane crash in Iredell County continues. At this point, we know 7 people were killed in that devastating incident, including Yes, NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, his wife, and their 2 kids.
3 others also died in that crash. NASCAR veteran Craig Wadsworth, Dennis Dutton, and his son Jack. The racing world now mourning what they are saying is an insurmountable loss.
The families of the victims releasing a statement shortly after the crash saying, in part, "We are devastated by the loss of our loved ones. This tragedy has left all of our families heartbroken beyond words." Greg and Christina were devoted parents and active philanthropists whose lives centered around their young son Ryder and Greg's daughter Emma. Emma was a wonderful human being with a kind soul who was loved by a lot of people. Ryder was an active, curious, and infinitely joyful child.
It also noted the other people on board saying, quote, Dennis Dutton and his son Jack were deeply loved as well, and their loss is felt by all who knew them. Craig Wadsworth was beloved by many in the NASCAR community and will be missed by those who knew him. Each of them meant everything to us, and their absence leaves an immeasurable void in our lives. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning at the airport. And Destiny, we know the investigators are going to be back there continuing that investigation this morning.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be looking a little bit closer at what happened, the flight path, what exactly took place with the pilot's actions when this crash happened. So a lot of questions, and we're expected to get those updates today. Again, this all taking place just moments after takeoff. Now, the FAA and the NTSB will be leading this investigation, focusing on, again, the flight path, the Cessna plane itself, and what went wrong in those critical seconds in the air. FAA records show Dennis Dutton, one of the victims, was licensed to fly this type of aircraft. However, records also show the plane required a second in command on board at the time of the flight. The crash happened just after 10:15 yesterday morning, and people who live near the airport say they didn't hear an impact, only seeing smoke moments later.
And all we saw was smoke from the south side airport, and that was it. Then we started seeing all the vehicles come up here, and none was going. We thought it was a house.
Now, this morning, we haven't seen many neighbors walking outside, some of them just getting in their cars and going to work or wherever they're going like it's a normal day. There are roads that are closed off near the airport because of the debris that is still there. So cleanup is likely continuing today. And then the NTSB expected to provide an update this afternoon. We'll bring you the latest from that briefing. Live this morning in Statesville, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
And so, Destiny, what have we learned about the plane itself? We'll check back in with Destiny a little bit later. That's okay. All right. Well, this morning we're also hearing from witnesses of the deadly crash. Take a look at this video from a ring camera at a nearby house on East Aviation. You can see the plane hit the ground and just erupt into flames, sending thick black smoke into the air. Another angle shows the wreckage from a nearby golf course. A witness says he saw that plane hit a row of trees and slam into the runway. All those in the area calling it a heartbreaking loss.
A big charity person around here for everybody. He donated a lot. When Asheville got hit last year, he was up there almost every day taking supplies. So he was a very important person in our community.
And as we mentioned, the officials are back on the ground this morning as that investigation continues.
This morning, we are hearing from Greg Biffle's fans and his colleagues. Over the years, he touched so many lives, not only on the track, but also in our community. WCNC Charlotte's Siobhan Riley shares how folks are remembering him.
A somber day across the NASCAR community following the plane crash that claimed the lives of NASCAR driver Greg Biffle, his family, and 3 others.
Especially being a whole family. That's especially this time of year. Knowing a whole family's gone and nothing will bring them back.
Randy Vaughn has been racing for 50 years and followed Greg Biffle's career since the beginning.
Greg Biffle is back to the lead.
He always seemed to be smiling anytime he was doing interviews and real joyful.
Look at the smile on Greg Biffle's face.
What stands out to NASCAR fans we spoke to is the aid Biffle offered to Hurricane Helene victims last year, using his own helicopter to deliver supplies during a crisis.
As much as Greg Biffle's done, especially during the hurricanes, helping people out, to have this happen today, it's just heartbreaking, especially for most of the people in the racing community.
NASCAR released a statement saying a winner on and off the racetrack. Greg Biffle leaves a lasting impression on all of us.
He claimed the 1998 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year and followed that up with a stellar 1999 season.
NASCAR sharing this video on X about some of Biffle's accomplishments. Fans said they will miss Biffle's integrity and love for the sport.
I've never met Greg Biffle, but I feel like I know him. I feel like he's family. I've been watching NASCAR since I was 3 feet tall. So, yeah, it's a big deal.
Siobhan Riley, WCNC Charlotte.
Now, as we mentioned, we have been following this story from the very beginning, both on air and right here on WCNC Plus. Make sure you stay with WCNC Charlotte and WCNC Plus for all the breaking news stories you need to know.
Another major breaking news story we're following this morning, the death of a North Carolina governor. Democrat Jim Hunt was North Carolina's longest serving governor, 4 terms in all. His family sharing the news yesterday. And Senator Tom Tillis among the many reacting to the news, calling Hunt one of the most consequential public servants in North Carolina's history. Also adding that his commitment to public education and economic development made a profound impact on the state as it continues to this day. Coming up in just a bit, about 30 minutes from now, Michael Bitzer from Catawba College is going to join us to talk about the impact that Hunt had on this state. You can catch that full interview coming up at 8:30 on WCNC Plus.
What an impactful 24 hours. We had some heavy rain to close out yesterday. I think I was mentioning yesterday that I had a tea time. It was crazy. The downpours happened right when we were on the 18th green, so it was perfect. Now, if you had any evening plans, that wasn't perfect for you. And it's probably the heaviest rain that we've had in quite some time, picking up over a ½ inch for Charlotte Douglas, but in some areas saw up and over 1 inch of rain. Meanwhile, we picked up another torrential downpour this morning. Who woke up this morning? There wasn't a lot of thunder associated with this, but boy, were the winds howling, and we also had just a very heavy rain. Here's what it looks like from Harrisburg. This happened right around 5 o'clock. This is sent in by one of our viewers, Lexi, that joins us each morning around 4:30. You can't really see too much, but it just shows how torrential this is. And even at one point, the ring camera itself starts to shake a little bit. So that really just shows the power of those winds rolling through. This is all associated with a severe thunderstorm warning that rolled through between about 4:30 and 5:30 across the area. It even had a tornado tag, meaning there was a chance for some rotation. We did see some signs of that on the radar and even in one of our cameras. High temperatures have already been met for today. We hit 64 degrees around Monroe, 63 around Charlotte, 50 degrees for Boone. Now we're going to warm things up slightly for the afternoon. So these are the afternoon highs, about the mid to the upper 50s across the area. Still could rebound back into the lower 60s, some areas southeast of Charlotte. But what you see in the background through our Rock Hill camera, bottom line, that's what we're going to get for the rest of the day. It's going to be a windy day today, though. That's the one word that you need to know for the rest of the day. I can also throw sunny in there as well, so that's going to make things better. And then once the winds really take hold and we get a strong shift out of the northwest, that's where we're going to tank things down to the upper 30s to close out the evening, and then down to freezing and even the 20s depending where you are for your Saturday morning. We'll be back above the freezing point on Sunday, and then another freezing start around Monday and Tuesday. Hour by hour for tomorrow, more sunshine galore, much lighter winds as well, temperatures in the mid to the upper 50s. Then for your Sunday, high temperatures in the lower to the mid 60s, great for the Panthers game, still will be chilly in the shade. And moving forward, our Carolina Christmas forecast has not changed much from yesterday. We had the upper 60s both days for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. However, the day after Christmas right now trending to be in the lower 70s. All right. The coolest day, Monday, that's going to be after a dry front pushes through after Sunday. But let's focus on it on the near term. A great weekend on the way, just a little bit breezy for today. Okay, Walker, what's the status? You've had a really up and down traffic report.
Well, it's been up and down, and thankfully some good news for you guys. If you're coming up I-77 northbound, that accident that we had that was right on the ramp to get on I-485 has since cleared. So we've actually seen significant improvements. We had delays stretching for almost 5 miles now. We're seeing green pretty much across the board, but we do have another accident that's now taken place. This is on Independence Boulevard. If you're headed eastbound, we are seeing a 1-lane close. It's the far left lane due to an accident. Of course, that's causing some delays. for people coming off of I-277, jumping onto East Independence Boulevard. So just be mindful out there. We're still following an accident at Old Statesville Road and Eastfield Road that continues to have some delays out there this morning. Now for your drive times, if you're getting ready to walk out the door and head to the office, Matthews to Charlotte, it'll take you 27 minutes to get there.
Walker, thanks. Before we head to break, here is an exclusive shopping deal for our viewers.
Hey, our team tests tons of products. We get rid of the rejects. We only bring you the best. And I love this one. It's called the Zippy Sweeper Pro. Take a look at it. And it's got this tri-brush technology here. It's very lightweight, cordless. So you can walk around the house. You just charge it with a USB-C, 30 minutes of use. And it can pick up almost everything. So let me turn it on for you here. Here are some Cheerios on the floor. Very common around my house. Picking them right up, no problem at all. Right? And then here's another problem we have too. Come on down here for a second. This is my dog's dog bowl, and he's a messy eater. So we always have the pet food around too. So look at that. Nice and easy. And it's really, really easy to use too. I've been playing with this for the last few days. Also picked up frozen veggies on the floor too. So it really does work. The other great thing about the Zippy Sweeper Pro, it really gets into places that you really wouldn't want to with a dust buster because it hurts your back. Look how easy this is, right under my coffee table, and I'm barely bent down at all. Very good for people with back problems like me.
And check out the light on it, showing you exactly where to find those hidden crumbs.
Oh, and I love this. When you're done, all you have to do is pull back this gray handle. Let me tilt this up so you can see it. And it all just comes right out into the trash, no mess. We have an amazing deal on this for you today. Normally, this is $129.99. Today, exclusive for our viewers, $69.99. That is a huge 46% off the retail price. You know it's gonna go. It's while supplies last. Scan the QR code on your screen or go to shoptvdeals.com.
$8:15 right now on WCNC Plus, and right now law enforcement officials say the suspect from that Brown University shooting is now dead. They say 48-year-old Claudio Valente appeared to die from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was found last night in a storage facility in New Hampshire. He had no current affiliation with the school, but was enrolled at Brown in 2000 and 2001. Law enforcement also think he might be connected to a fatal shooting this week of an MIT professor. Major fallout from that Brown University shooting is a pause in the diversity visa lottery program. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ordered the pause after Claudio Valente was found dead. He came to the U.S. through the diversity visa program in 2017 and later received a green card. The program is designed to encourage immigration from countries with low U.S. immigration rates. Noem says President Donald Trump directed her to halt it, calling the program, quote, disastrous.
People in this country illegally caught during Operation Charlotte's Web are suing the Department of Homeland Security, saying regardless of their immigration status, the government cannot continue to hold them without giving them a bond hearing. ICE and Border Patrol agents took more than 400 people into custody here last month and then moved many of them to long-term detention centers in Georgia. WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito poured through federal court records and discovered that some are now taking legal action.
It's difficult to track down these lawsuits because there's very little public information available, but we found a few cases that originated here in Charlotte. I spoke with several attorneys who told me there are plenty more, and they argue because agents found these people here rather than at the border, they have a right to a bond hearing.
Less than a month after their wedding, on the fourth day of Operation Charlotte's Web, Dennis Gonzalez-Diaz went to the Charlotte DHS office.
This is the third appointment he's had.
His new wife expected a routine visit, a chance for ICE to again verify the Nicaraguan's address and that he's not a threat. Part of his plan to eventually secure the government's okay to be here.
He's one of those people that go to work and come home, that's it.
Brittany Harris Gonzalez says he came to this country in 2023 to work so he could send money back home to his kids.
He went in the building and they wouldn't let him come back out.
Less than 24 hours later,
the fear in his voice on the phone.
The newlywed says her husband was already at a detention center in Georgia.
It's not fair and it's not right.
To this day, she says the government has not offered him a bond hearing while he awaits his initial deportation court appearance in November 2026.
A lot of people are not aware that they have rights.
Georgia attorney Karen Weinstock says she's talked with several dozen people from Charlotte detained by DHS.
They're saying that they're subject to mandatory detention, which is not correct.
Weinstock has spent the last several months challenging the government in court, filing what are called writs of habeas corpus on detainees' behalf.
I have not lost a case yet, and I've had dozens of these.
She and others say those held have due process rights because they've remained in the country for some time and because of where agents found them.
We are treating you the same as somebody we're catching at the border today. And that's not right because the law says different.
The Charlotte cases we've identified include a native Egyptian detained by ICE on November 21st, without warning and without any possibility of a bond hearing. A landscaper with work authorization arrested by agents as he ate lunch with his crew. And a man here since 2006 detained by immigration when they stopped his car. Weinstock says they're just a fraction of the cases in the system, adding the vast majority of her clients do not have criminal histories. People she says the government wants to hold indefinitely.
Unfortunately, unless you sue them in federal court, you're not going to get relief.
Through a spokesperson, DHS's assistant secretary told us ICE has the law and the facts on its side, and it adheres to all court decisions until it ultimately gets them shot down by the highest court in the land. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
Nate, well, winter weather has been the main trend through the north central part of the United States. Blizzard conditions through many locations. We're going to talk about some of the active weather that's been happening across the country and if it has any connection to what's happening here. Welcome back, everyone. Now, you've probably heard a lot of the stories that have been happening across the United States, but I want to show you some of the images that we're seeing, and this is actually in the Pacific Northwest. Just wow, this is a tree that fell onto a home, and just absolutely staggering images here. Really the magnitude here is like how much insulation has made its way down, completely dividing it in half. You usually don't see something this substantial, and they've been seeing some gusty winds from the passing systems regardless, but that right there, what you're looking at, well, first off, I think that's a lot of root rot, so that tree was ready to come down, but it's all of the water that saturated the soils, and we know that here, those shallow root trees can easily topple over, and the really big ones, especially that they have over in the Pacific Northwest, well, that's what can happen. Now we're gonna flip the script from rain to snow. These are blizzard-like conditions that were happening in the Dakotas. Barely could see in front of you, which, by the way, the definition of a blizzard is sustained winds at 35 miles per hour, causing visibilities of a quarter mile or less. And here's the tricky thing. For it technically to be a blizzard, it actually doesn't need to be actively snowing. It could be blowing snow as well. So it could have already snowed, you get the winds, and then there's blizzard conditions. But yeah, you can barely see in that situation. The Dakotas are beautiful during the summertime, but this is pretty much the norm during the winter time. We're actively right now in North Dakota, and that's where you're looking right now, more active snow that could provide another 6 inches of snow just north of Bismarck. And that's pretty much the only area that we're looking like over the next week that could have a white Christmas. Majority of the United States is trending slightly warmer, and there could be some lingering snow from other snow systems. Meanwhile, over here, we're seeing the exact opposite. There is a slight chance for a little bit of changeover to snow right here along the Tennessee border, but this cold front is passing, it's dying out, and that front is responsible for the storms that rolled through early this morning. Now that book is shut. No more issues or big impacts in the near term, because I don't really have a significant rain chance at all over the next 10 days. Slight chance after Christmas, but really not too much. 3 of the next 4 mornings will be around freezing or slightly below. Then after that, a big warming trend. We have one little dip down into the lower 50s. Other than that, we're starting to see more 60s and even 70s take over our long-term forecast. So good news there. And I also heard from my friend Walker that we have some better news in the traffic department. Let's double check.
Yeah, well, we do want to follow up quickly on one accident we actually just got an image of that happened on South Tryon Street at I-485. Inner ramp, again, this is in the middle of the intersection, so just avoid the area because it's causing some delays out there. We did have that accident clear up that was on the I-77 northbound near exit 1, but we do have an accident here on eastbound Independence Boulevard causing some delays for drivers. We also now have some lengthy delays here on I-485 southbound as we have a crash from exits 51A to exit 52. That delay stretches almost 3 miles, moving at around 7 miles per hour.
All right, Walker, thanks. 8:25. Now we're going to take a quick break up. Make sure that you keep it right here, streaming live on WCNC Plus.
Today's another inflatable alert. Gusty winds up to 20 to 30 miles per hour puts us in that high risk zone, especially when you have wet soil, much like what we have, that weakens the anchor's grip. So there's a chance that we could have some frosties blowing around. The good news is a lot of us aren't going to have them inflated during the afternoon. And once you get to the evening, things start to simmer down a little bit, but I would really just hold off until it really isn't overly gusty. So keep that in mind. We already hit our high temperature and lower to the mid 60s early this morning across much of the area. 59 is our afternoon afternoon high. Sunshine galore, so what you see right now is pretty much what we're going to get. Then our lows down to freezing to kick off tomorrow. It looks to be a pretty decent day. Highs in the mid to the upper 50s, low to the mid 60s for this coming Sunday. Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast shows a slight cool down before we're back near 70 for Christmas Eve and Christmas. Walker, take it away.
We do have some traffic delays out there this morning that we want to go ahead and let you know about. We have that accident again on East Independence Boulevard, so just being mindful, headed out the doorway this morning. Again, another crash on I-485 southbound that's causing delays. That is going to stretch around 2.5 miles. So that's how long it'll take you to get. You're only going 7 miles per hour through that drive.
Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus at 8:30 on this Friday. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. It is Friday, so all eyes on that forecast. Let's turn it over to Chris Mulcahy. And Chris, things okay right now, but a few hours ago, there was a little touch and go when it came to the forecast.
It was literally shaky, where a lot of our cameras were shaking all over the place when we had a severe thunderstorm roll through. That's right, we had an actual severe thunderstorm warning, a couple of them, starting in Mecklenburg County, but really started signs that it was strengthening closer to Dallas and just north of Gastonia. So if you have any down branches this morning, it's because of that strong storm system that rolled through. Meanwhile, Beach Mountain actively making snow right now. This is the only place that is really cloudy. Really, outside of this, it is a gorgeous day. Check it out. Not a cloud in the sky. This is what you can anticipate for your Friday. Enjoy it. That beautiful orb up in the sky is going to keep things nice and warm comparatively. And that cloud cover, we can still see it off in the distance further off towards the east, say around Kannapolis, and that will eventually lead to a wall-to-wall sunshine scenario. You might say, like, Chris, why are you showing me this? I'm showing you this is because this camera was pointing towards the middle of the speedway. Now it's tilted the opposite direction and I can't move it because this is what happened when those winds were rolling through. And one viewer actually sent me a video from Harrisburg, and it was incredible to see. Now, one thing that was interesting is we had something that was called a broad rotation. So we were seeing some rotation along this system. I was literally up here around 4:35 and said, oh, look at this wall here. And I was mentioning, I was like, wow, this is a classic QLCS. It almost looks like it could be a tornado possibility. And I'm not saying that there was one in here, but everything was really rain wrapped. So this is interesting divide here that we might have been looking at. This could have been a funnel cloud at least, but regardless, this storm system still dropped winds, I think at least up to 60 miles per hour. Multiple trees also down a little bit further off towards the east. That front is now gone. We have no more big impacts. The only one is going to be the winds. It will be a windy day. And we're going to hit our coolest part of the first half of the day over the next few hours. We'll level out to either side of 50 degrees. Sunshine will then lock us and warm us back up through the 50s, reaching the upper 50s by about 2 to 3. We already hit our high for the day. That was 63 at 4:30, and we're going to hit our low right around midnight. That's likely going to be close to about 38 degrees. So it will be much chillier by the back end of the evening. So say if you're going to Christmas Town walking around, well, maybe you want a couple of cups of hot chocolate because we're back down to 40 degrees on and off of the wind chill by about 10 o'clock. So the one thing to know about today, it's going to be windy with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. We also have wind alerts for the mountains. Keep that in mind. One last graphic to show you. High wind warning that goes until 10 o'clock tonight. A wind advisory for Avery County, meaning wind gusts could range anywhere from 45 to 60 miles per hour. We'll leave it there. Let's get over to traffic. I'll show you your 7-day forecast coming up here in about 10:15.
Yeah, Chris, well, we do have a couple accidents out there this morning. This is one of the images from one of those accidents. This is actually at South Tryon Street at the I-485 inner ramp. As you can see, this is in the middle of the intersection, so causing some delays for drivers across the entire intersection. So just be mindful if you're headed out there to drive slow through the area. Now, we do have an accident on eastbound Independence Boulevard. This is causing delays all the way back up onto I-277, which is already a congested area. So this is making matters a little bit worse for you this morning, so make sure you have some extra time to get out the door. We also have an accident for drivers on I-45 southbound. This is a crash that's impacting exits 51A and B as well as exit 52. Delays actually stretch further than what I had drawn out at 2.5 miles. Looks to be almost 3 miles now of delays, with drivers only moving at around 7 miles per hour. We also have another accident that we're still following this morning on NC 16 Brookshire Boulevard.
All right, Walker, thanks so much. 8:34 now, and this morning we are expecting to hear from the NTSB as the investigation into the deadly plane crash in Iredell County continues. That crash killing all 7 people on board, including NASCAR legend Greg Biffle and his family. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning at the site of that crash. Destiny, do we know where the investigators will be focusing their attention as part of the investigation?
Yeah, they'll definitely be closely looking at the plane as well as the flight path it took as well. That's what we've been hearing a lot about. And this morning, now that the sun is up and we can have a better view, we can see the wreckage this morning. We also see investigators for the first time out at the site of the crash. And we're expected to learn updates this morning from the NTSB just about what took place the moments after takeoff. Now, the FAA and the NTSB are leading this investigation. They are focusing again on the flight path, the Cessna plane itself, and what went wrong in those critical seconds in the air. FAA records show Dennis Dutton was one of the victims licensed to fly this type of aircraft. However, records show the plane also required a second in command on board at the time of the flight. Former NTSB senior air safety investigator Greg Feith says the plane's flight path is likely what's raising early questions for investigators.
In the flight path, it looks like they're trying to fly a normalized pattern to get back to the runway that they took off on, rather than just immediately make a better than a 180-degree turn. It's more like around a 200-degree turn, and land opposite direction. Land slightly downwind if you need to, but get the airplane on the ground under control. And that's the key. The question for the investigators will be, did the pilots lose control of the aircraft?
Yeah, lots of questions that we're hoping to get answers to today. Again, this is our first time seeing investigators on the ground out there, and the airport has been closed since yesterday. It's still closed today, and there are several roads that are closed near the airport because all of that debris is still there. It's this afternoon that we're expecting to hear from the NTSB. That's when their briefing is supposed to be, and we'll be sure to bring you the latest and whatever information that we learn from that. I'll send it back to you guys live here in station. Batesville.
And of course, the investigation, as we said yesterday, is going to take quite some time. Destiny, what have we learned about the plane itself?
Yeah, Fife is telling us in that interview, he tells us a little bit more about the plane. This is a Cessna 550 jet, a small business jet built in 1981. But he says that the age of the plane is really not the focus here. They're really going to be concerned about the maintenance history, its history of inspections, if anything actually went wrong mechanically. So they're going to be taking a closer look at the plane, again, the flight path, and really just the actions of the pilot and what could have gone wrong with this devastating crash.
All right, Destiny Rich is live this morning. Thank you, Destiny.
Well, just hours after the news broke, we sat down with an aviation expert going over the plane's flight path.
He helped explain what could have happened to cause the tragedy. Take a look at this. Now, you can actually see from the flight path that pilot took off, then tried to return to the airport. You see the red lines there, but the plane crashed during a landing attempt. The aviation attorney Pablo Rojas told us several things could have gone wrong.
The flight path that we know so far, the quickness with which the pilots evidently made a decision to turn around and attempt to land again clearly indicates some kind of mechanical issue. Very commonly, when pilots detect an issue with an engine, they detect it right away after takeoff. Takeoff and landing are the two most dangerous parts of any flight. And, any kind of mechanical issue could prompt a pilot to say, wait a minute, we gotta get back to land. This is not safe to continue this flight. But very, very commonly, it's an engine.
This morning, friends and fans are remembering Greg Biffle's legacy both on and off the track. He was named one of the 75 greatest drivers with a career across 3 decades and wins across every level. His legacy has been well documented by his stats, and his good work continued into his retirement from NASCAR, as highlighted by the NASCAR Hall of Fame Executive Director Winston Kelly.
Don't think devastating is a strong enough word, but I don't have enough command of the English language to come up with what it is. It's devastating, heartbreaking. I think we're all numb. The stats you can read about. You're a nominee into the NASCAR Hall of Fame and one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers. You are among the elite athletes, but he and Christina were elite people. It even amplifies the grief, I think, because they've so much that they have given and left to give. And on earth we don't understand why these things happen, and maybe in an afterlife we will, but it's just devastating. But we've got to remember what they have done, not what they have done in a sport or business, but what they have done for people, and these folks certainly exemplify that.
Greg Biffle was on the 2026 Hall of Fame ballot. He tells us it's not if, but when he will be inducted. Kelly also added NASCAR is a family, and its members are showing up in droves on social media. We've seen an outpouring of tributes from those who raced against him or who admired his career. Jeff Gordon saying, I had such tremendous respect for Greg as a driver, and noted his relief efforts during Hurricane Helene. Richard Petty and Kyle Busch sharing photos with Greg Biffle, and dozens of other notes posted from NASCAR drivers as they mourn the loss of one of their own.
Not only was Biffle a NASCAR star, he was also a devoted father and a hero far from the racetrack.
Today we remember him, a man whose impact stretched from racing to rescue and whose legacy lives on through the lives he saved. Here's Megan Maleras.
A NASCAR driver beloved by fans. A devoted father who fiercely loved his family. A pilot who moved mountains, putting others in the driver's seat. Greg Biffle, a star who wore humility on his sleeve. Biffle sat down with me in August, reflecting on the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. He was one of the first helicopter civilian pilots in the sky, racing to the rescue in western North Carolina.
Then my wife came up and said, "Are you going to go?" is all she said. And I just felt like if I don't go, who's going to?
For 2 weeks straight, he and a team of civilian pilots he assembled pulled people from homes and dropped critical supplies.
On the track, a delay in the pit can cost you the race, right? But in the air, a delay getting up can cost a life. That's a lot of pressure.
The hardest thing was when I went home at night and landed in the dark, because we just couldn't fly anymore, was my mind wouldn't shut off. I'm sitting there at my counter looking through my phone, just overwhelmed. Like, what am I gonna do next?
He was always one lap ahead, bringing holiday joy to families hurting and at the ready for the next call of duty. In October, we talked again as he offered help to hurricane-ravaged Jamaica.
I feel even more helpless now, being so far away from the disaster, to just not knowing what they need.
But Biffle did know heart matters more than medals. A hero isn't who you are, but what you do when no one else is watching. Megan Malaris, WCNC Charlotte.
Folks, we have been following the story from the very beginning. Keep it right here on the WCNC Plus streaming app for the very latest. 8:42 right now. Next, we remember the late Governor Jim Hunt and his lasting impact on North Carolina.
This morning, reaction pouring in over the death of former Governor Jim Hunt. As North Carolina's longest serving governor, he's widely credited for helping create the thriving state that we all enjoy today.
And we're also seeing something unique nowadays, universal praise across the political aisle. Professor Michael Bitzer joins us now from Catawba College this morning. Professor, thanks for joining us. When I heard the news yesterday, you are one of the first people I wanted to talk to, just because I know of the knowledge you have when it comes to North Carolina politics. And as you know, we have so many new faces in the state, not only voters, but also political faces as well. Jim Hunt, though, Jim Hunt was in a category by himself.
I really consider him one of the two titans of North Carolina politics in the late 20th century, the other one being the man he faced in 1984 in a bruising and bitter U.S. Senate campaign, and that was U.S. Senator Jesse Helms. I think the Hunt-Helms era of North Carolina politics really speaks to the power of those two men to shape how this state now, 25 years later, really is a political influence. And I think for Governor Hunt, he did so much for this state that today we kind of take for granted, but his legacy is certainly one that will be in the history books for some time to come.
We're talking about somebody who served as governor for 16 years. Think about it. It's not common, this time, and not in present day. And he ran one of the most bruising, as you said, expensive Senate campaigns against Jesse Helms there, even mentioned as a presidential candidate at one point.
Yeah, he was. And I think, if you consider two of the major changes to the governor's role in this state, North Carolina's governor has historically and currently been considered one of the weakest governorships in the entire country. Jim Hunt got not only the opportunity to run for a second term with passage of a constitutional amendment, he also got the governor the power of the veto, which was North Carolina was the last state to afford that power to its governor. And certainly I think what Hunt's ability to run for 4 terms in this state really shows he was a Democrat who was able to deflect and really fight against Republican tendencies when the rest of the South was going and realigning to the Republican Party. Hunt and a lot of his mentees really helped to keep North Carolina Democrats in a power position that they could win statewide, when at the same time folks like Jesse Helms and Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush and others were winning at the federal level.
I think reaction online, has been, we'll say, noteworthy. Andrew Dunn, a conservative columnist for The Observer, called Hunt arguably the most important political figure in North Carolina history. Republican Tom Tillis calling him one of the most consequential. And former Republican Governor Pat McCrory called him the governor, and was not only a great public servant, but the greatest salesperson ever for our state. Again, we're talking about Republicans talking about a Democrat here. You don't hear that sort of cross-party praise much anymore. And as you pointed to, he and Jesse Helms had nothing in common except they were both from the state of North Carolina. Yet he still sort of got this universal admiration from people.
He really does. And I think that shows the power of his kind of centrist but pragmatic way of governing. He really took on education. He started Smart Start, a pre-K program that was highly influential. He was even considered a potential Democratic candidate for president. But he really loved this state. He grew up in a rural part of North Carolina. He realized what government could do to help citizens to impact their daily lives in a positive manner, and very much viewed the governorship as the prize of his political life and career, helping North Carolinians.
And you mentioned he was known as the education governor, championing pre-K and kindergarten, higher salaries for teachers. He essentially created the playbook for Southern Democrats in the 80s and 90s. What do you think we can still learn from him today?
Well, I think certainly one of the key factors is he was able to show the North Carolina Democratic Party you can win statewide even though North Carolinians would vote Republican for president or U.S. Senate. And that has been kind of the bipolar nature of North Carolina political behavior, is that we've oftentimes seen those split ticket voters, people that Jim Hunt brought into the fold, but who would also then flip and vote for somebody like Jesse Helms. And so I think that his legacy, 25 years after he left public office, is still with us. That swath of split ticket voters is very small nowadays, but it is crucial in any attempt to win statewide here in North Carolina.
To that point, I just need a quick response. You mentioned politics has changed. Governor's power has changed. Will we ever see another Jim Hunt again?
I think it's hard. I think we see, kind of those folks in the clone of a Jim Hunt, and certainly Roy Cooper is one of those. But in today's polarized environment, it is becoming harder and harder to be that kind of person that would garner the kind of reaction that Republicans and Democrats have said about the former governor.
Michael Bitzer, we could talk to you all day. So many questions. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, for offering your perspective. Always great to have you on.
My pleasure.
All right, keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're back after this.
Hello, welcome back. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. I know it's still early. It's going to be a windy one, so watch out for those hats. Where wind advisory already started, same with the high wind warning, but the high wind warning goes until 10 o'clock for Watauga and Ashe County. Avery, yours is going to be done by about 7 o'clock, but regardless, we can say the mountains are going to have sustained winds at 20 to 30 with gusts from 45 to 60 miles per hour. Here's a close look at those wind gusts. This is what it's going to be like right around the hour of noon, anywhere from 20 to 30 mile per hour gusts. So that's why I've been showing you that inflatable warning graphic, especially if you're going to be blowing up late afternoon. And then those winds start to calm down as we're working our way into the evening hours, and then they should be on the gentle side by your Saturday. But when the winds are blowing and colder air is blowing in from the northwest, you're really going to be feeling those wind chills. So for the afternoon, we're going to get back into the upper 50s because of that sunshine, but it's still going to feel like the lower to the mid 50s. Meanwhile, the mountains feeling like either side of 20 degrees. Watch what happens by the evening. Evening hours will slowly get colder as we work our way through the time period, feeling like the 20s late evening and by tomorrow morning. And for the weekend, 58 degrees Saturday, lower to the mid 60s for my pick of the weekend and pick of the week. Even warmer though for around Christmas Eve and Christmas. There's your forecast. Let's get right over to Walker Larson. Ooh, I'm sorry. I was like, sounded like I had peanut butter in my mouth with your morning commute.
I was like, wow, I got a new last name there for a second. All right, so let's take a look at our traffic out there. We are seeing some delays due to this accident on Independence Boulevard. So as you can see, causing delays up onto I-277. We're also seeing delays further down on Independence Boulevard due to this accident. Again, as mentioned earlier, we've been following this crash that's on I-485 southbound. Delays, thankfully, not as long as they were. Traffic moving around 9 miles per hour.
Walker, thanks so much. We are going to take a quick break. We'll make sure that you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. Our own Julie Kay is going to be taking over at the top of the hour from our live Impact News studio. She, of course, will have more on the death of Greg Biffle, including an interview from Mike Massaro, a longtime NASCAR pit reporter. Stay right here, streaming on WCNC Plus.
What a beautiful looking day. This is what we have all day long, sunshine galore. We already hit our high for the day, and I've been mentioning that on and off throughout the morning. That was the lower 60s, but we'll be back into the upper 50s for the afternoon. Feeling those winds, though. We're going to have constant gusts at 20 to 30 miles per hour, so that means those branches are going to be shaking in the breeze. Tomorrow, starting off around freezing, highs in the upper 50s, and then Sunday, highs in the lower to the mid 60s. Great weather for the Panthers game. Still chillier in the shade, though. We'll see a little bit of a downgrade for our temperatures on Monday, both Monday and Tuesday starting off around freezing, and then boom, upper 60s for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Days after that could even challenge the lower 70s, near a record. Wow. Let's get over to Walker. Good morning to you, bud.
Good morning, Chris. Say it ain't so. That's a little too warm for Christmas. But again, say it ain't so. We do have traffic out there. Again, still following this accident on Independence Boulevard, causing delays. If you're on I-277, just be mindful of those delays as well on Independence Boulevard. Again, this accident we mentioned as well, I-485 southbound, causing delays, but thankfully starting to see things speed up. Now we also have another accident on Belhaven. This is causing some delays in Shuffletown this morning, and it looks like we have an accident that's cleared on NC 16.